So I just came from watching Surviving Black Hawk Down. It's a docu-series on Netflix, and I'm going to have spoilers, but this is something that happened in real life, so it's not really that I'm spoiling anything. There's a movie of of the name Black Hawk Down from 2001. So this is basically a documentary in the form of a series, 3 episodes, and it contains enactments. It contains interviews of guys who are actually there from both sides, the American side and the Somali side, and there's actually old footage that was shot by one of the um, guys from Somalia who is being interviewed. If you're not familiar with this, the story is that there was a peacekeeping mission that went wrong in Somalia in 1993, specifically October. So this huge conflict happened on October 3rd. The whole thing is that two militia leaders and Somalis picked, side of one guy and the side of another guy. And as a result, there was a civil war in the country. Because there was a civil war, there was famine and hunger. So the UN stepped in to help, but the militia kept stealing the UN resources and like selling them off. And so US soldiers came in to like protect and also at the same time try and capture one of the militia leaders, a guy called Aedid. I like the fact that the story is told from two perspectives, because I'm pretty sure if you watch the movie Black Hawk Down, it's an old movie, it's from like 2001. Probably that movie depicts like the Americans being attacked by savages, but from this documentary you can clearly tell that there was two sides to the story, and we get to hear the Somali side. And now after watching this docu series, you can clearly tell that the American side is the one to blame. It's okay if you think that Americans did nothing wrong, but clearly from this documentary you can tell that the Americans messed up, because there's a part where someone says that there were some raids, I think 6 raids, that the American forces conducted. There were 6 raids conducted by the American forces, and 3 of them went wrong. How do you mess up 3 raids? And one of the guys being interviewed said that they would go on a raid and sometimes capture the wrong person, or it was not the correct building while hunting down this militia leader guy. But I'm like, 3? You messed up 3? How could your intel be so bad that you end up fucking up 3 times? Anyway, there's a part where one of the guys being interviewed says that while he was in a chopper, he looked down and he saw a woman looking up, and what he saw, what he says that what he saw in her eyes was hate. The fact that when they first came to Somalia, they were greeted with so much happiness, but on October 3rd, there was a raid in a house while looking for this militia leader dude, and they happened to just bomb the place, and they happened to bomb innocent people. They completely messed up the whole thing. I think what annoyed me the most when I was watching is that the soldiers were always like, my guys, my friends, but they never ever talked about feeling remorseful for bombing or killing any innocent people. There's this one taxi Somali dude. He says that he was working with, I think he was under the employment of an American NGO, and he was given a car to drive and transport stuff, and he was making money doing that. And then one day he's stopped by some American soldiers, and he had a gun to protect himself and the car. But as soon as they saw the gun, they told him to get out. They started beating him. And I'm like, how would you not expect people to get angry and rise up against you? There were many casualties, especially on the Somali side. Like bombing, it happened actually twice. The first time was when the American soldiers went after the militia guy. The first time when they went after him and they didn't get him. And the second time when it's called Black Hawk Down because one of their choppers went down and crashed. So they even show you a map of where the crash was and where they show you where the crash was and where the target location was, and in between the target location and where the plane crashed there was like a school, even those kids who were in that school, they suffered. So clearly, from my opinion, the American soldiers that day, they really did a lot of mess. And in fact, one of them says it's like we disturbed a beehive and the bees came stinging. That's actually true, because if you go to a foreign country and then you end up bombing innocent women and children, it doesn't matter what your intent was, or you did a whoopsie. A good movie that I would compare this to is Hotel Rwanda. In Hotel Rwanda is from a long time ago, right? In Hotel Rwanda, it's kind of the same case. There was the main character played by Don Cheadle, and there's a militia, and then there's the UN, right? But the UN try really hard not to use any lethal force. Here, it's just trigger happy. They shoot. If they think you're the enemy, they shoot. If they think they think you're a threat, they beat you. There's only 3 episodes of this thing. So in the third episode, there's a pilot from the plane crash who gets captured, and one of the Somali guys being interviewed said, the fact that we restrained ourselves from killing him and just put him indoors inside a cell shows that we are better than the Americans. I agree with that statement, because I mean, I'm not saying that Somalis were like these innocent guys. In the third episode, they found some American soldier who had passed away and they like dragged him in the street, so that was unnecessary. But the fact that they could actually show some restraint the fact that they could actually show some restraint, in my opinion, makes them better than those American soldiers. Also, there's a part where the American soldiers entered some person's house and then hid themselves in there with some family. And then the Somalis were like, should we just bomb the house and kill the family and the soldiers? And then one of them was like, let's just like wait them out or something. So the Somalis had some ability to show restraint, but the American soldiers, I think the only time an American soldier mentioned restraint was when this one guy said that he was in a room with a Somali dude and he wanted to like stab him, but he held back. But other than that, most of the times these dudes, they were shelling indiscriminately, they were shooting indiscriminately. And even one guy calls the Somali people stupid. He says, oh, these are just some stupid people. And I think that's the thing. These American soldiers did not expect the Somalis to retaliate. I think that's the whole shock, is that they did not expect. They thought that they could just go somewhere, shell some place, bomb some place, and then just walk away and be like, oh, mission gone bad, lol. But the Somalis became angry. It was a pretty good docu-series in my opinion. Out of 10, I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10 for the reenactments, telling the stories from both sides and use of footage. Episode 3 for me was super hard to watch. So yeah, just a heads up in case you haven't watched this episode 3. Episode 3 is brutal. But thank you so much for watching this review. I'm not saying that the Somalis are completely innocent, but in my opinion, this whole thing started because the Americans messed up way too many times. For more reviews, check out these ones on screen. Tell me what you thought of this if you've watched it. 1983 is when I was born, so it's not like I was there. But if you're older, tell me how it was during that time, and then I'll see you in the next one.